Comfortable? Yeah?
We are comfortable.
Rob, you good? Yeah, okay. Well, hello, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to our first VOA Women's Caucus event when we are hosting female newsmakers from around the world. I'm Mahboob, head of the VOA Women's Caucus, and I am incredibly excited about the fact that this event is being organized by our division, South and Central Asia. The reason I am mentioning the divisions is that now we have mini caucuses. So we have VOA Women's Caucus, and then we have mini caucuses who are essentially our place to network with you. I'm sure you have heard this, but our caucus has three major goals. One is to form a solid internal network where we support each other. Our second goal is to obviously improve our content, to change the way, to boost the way we cover women, the women of the world. And third goal is to host such events where we invite people from around the world, female newsmakers, and have conversations with us to enrich our understanding and expertise. And I want you to know, Roya, Fatemah, and Kausar, welcome again. We are all robots here. I know this is Afghan girls robotic team, but I think that the women of the Voice of America are robots. We work all the time, day and night. We almost never sleep. We operate around the clock, and we speak all kinds of languages. And it's just we don't have, our intelligence is natural. It's not artificial. And one of the people with that natural, super duper intelligence is Lina Rozbih, who's going to moderate this conversation for us.
Thank you so much.
And she is the one who's been behind this event. Thank you so much. The floor is yours. We're all ears. We're very much interested to hear about your work in Afghanistan, around the world. I know you just got an award in New York. And today you've been to the White House, to the State Department. So this is a big Washington visit for them. So we want to hear all about that. Thank you so much again. Lina, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. VOA Women Caucus is very fortunate to have two prominent and impactful ladies or girls from Afghanistan. Roya Mahboob is the founder and president of Digital Citizen Fund and the creator and the brain behind the Afghan Girls Robotic team. And Fatemah Qaderyan is the captain of the team and also the youngest member of Afghan Girls Robotic team. Roya and Fatemah, as Nawbahar stated, they just received an award, Asian Society Game Changer Award for the year of 2018. They just received the award a day ago in New York, and today, despite of their very busy schedule in Washington, D.C., they give us an hour of their time to share their experiences with us. For those of you who don't know Afghan Girls Robotic Team, Afghan Girls Robotic Team came into the limelight or grabbed the media's attention in June and July 2017, when the team was denied a visa to come to the US to participate in an international robotic competition in Washington, D.C. And this was about the time that President Trump had just signed the travel ban, which prevents the citizens of 7 predominantly Muslim countries from traveling to the US. This decision drew a lot of reactions, not only from Afghanistan, but also within the US. Senators started tweeting about the Afghan robotic teams, and all this positive reaction encouraged President Trump to intervene, and finally the team literally got a visa to travel to the US just 24 hours before the game. So they were transferred from Herat to Kabul, they got their visas, they hopped on the plane, and they were received like stars in Dallas National Airport. A group of Afghan community, media, CNN, ABC, the Afghan ambassador, everyone was there to welcome them. And eventually, during the 5 days that they compete in the Washington, many prominent political figures, including Ivanka Trump, went to visit them and encourage them. And this was the start of the journey for Afghan Girls Robotic Team, and right after that, they managed to travel across the globe, participate in many robotic competitions and other events, and indirectly through their activities, they try to draw the attention to the importance of education for Afghan girls in Afghanistan. I think I'm going to let them share the details of this journey and how a group of girls from Herat, a very conservative and religious province of Afghanistan, are now at the forefront of tech and technology in the world, competing in international competitions and drawing the attention to the capacity of Afghan girls, how they overcome all the obstacles and all the negativity that typically any woman in such kind of society will encounter in order to reach somewhere. Roya Jan, we would like to start with you. First of all, thank you so much again for giving us time. You are a CEO of a tech company in a country that not long ago, less than 2 decades ago, under the Taliban regime, women were pretty much limited to the 4 walls of their homes. They were prevented from going to the school. They couldn't work. How did you selected such an unorthodox sector, tech, in Afghanistan, and how did the process of creating this company and then the Afghan Robotic Girls team started from?
Thank you very much, Lina John, for bringing us here today, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever listening to our stories. Well, I think that everything's for me. I always say in my speeches that everything's for me started when at the age of 16, I had an opportunity to go to only Indian cafe in Herat, and for the first time, I was introduced to this magic box that connect you to the world, and I think that from that moment, I decided to make the technology to be center of my career. Mm-hmm. And for a country that was living in the darkness, you didn't have access to any information, and waiting to find an updated book, we have to wait sometimes months and weeks that someone come from Iran to bring us the updated books. Mm-hmm. And there was only one library in Herat. So internet connection in 2003, it was, I think, that one of the revolution that is happening in our life. And that was changed my life. I went to school, I graduated from computer science. And in 2010, I started working for Herat University as IT coordinator for 3 years. That's give me experience to working with big projects from IT that was funded by NATO, by USAID, and Techno University of Berlin. And in 2010, I started my own company with my youngest sister, and then we decided to hire a lot of the women and in the programming and also in the blogging section. And that's made me to become one of the first tech female CEO in Afghanistan. But being a tech female CEO anywhere in the world will introduce some obstacles and challenges. But Afghanistan, a country, as you mentioned, that the women are not supposed to work outside of the home, many of the women. The attack against of me was devastating, both personally and professionally. Working in a very male-dominated IT industry, many of men didn't want to work with us, or they didn't take us serious. And even if they want to work with you, they will always want to give you cheaper prices, or they don't want to pay for the work that you have done for them. And they would follow us and put in a spy, they send the threads. But I always say that if I wanted to quit, what message I could send to the other girls who wants to go to the same career. So I decided to not wait, and I continue. And then one day I decided that social media and internet changed my life, and my personal life and also my professional life. So why I don't give to the other women, give the same access? And there are millions of the girls who are living in Afghanistan that they don't have that opportunity, or they don't know what is truly possible for them. So that's why we decided to start Digital Sun Fund, a nonprofit organization, to giving a door that's open to the rest of the world for this woman. And should I say about robotic team or?
Yeah, robotic team. How did you think of putting 5-6 girls together and make them compete?
Well, we have a lot of the programs, but 2 years ago, former president of the First Global contacted me just a second. He told me that we hear that you have a lot of the programs in Afghanistan. Do you have a team of robotics that they can come to the first global competition? I said, well, we have coding, we have hackathon, but I'm not sure about robotics because robotics is very new. And I know a few people in Polytechnic that they are doing the robotics, but not teenagers under the 18. He said, then find it or build a team. So I was trying to find from through IT industry through to the people that I know, but no one knows that people that under the age of 18, 16, like 13, 14 knows robotics. So then I decided to build a team, and I thought, why not a team of all girls? Because it's definitely send a message to all the girls in Afghanistan, also a message to the world. So we took an exam from 150 students, and then 20 selected. And then many of the family take their girls out of the program because they didn't know what is robot first, and then they thought that this is not appropriate for the girls. And those who remind, many of them ask me what is robot. So you can see that how much we had a limited resources. So then we decided to select 6 of these girls. They know a little bit about robots, and also they had the most important key. They had their family's permission to trip.
Great. Fatemah Jan is indeed one of my heroes. I salute her. I love her. And when I saw her at the door here, I was about to, cry. But I said I need to keep on smiling for her. When she finished the competition, she's the youngest member of the Afghan girls robotic team, and she's also their captain. So that explains how powerful she is. She, unfortunately, as soon as they were done with the robotic competition in Washington, D.C., and upon their return to Afghanistan, she lost her father in an ISIS attack on a mosque in Herat. We had a reporter in Herat who produced 1 or 2 reports about her. She was, unfortunately, in a very bad condition. She initially decided to withdraw from the team because of the negative comments she was receiving, even from people around her, saying that it's the karma. You as a girl, you didn't listen to your family, you travel abroad, you become, but she managed to pull everything together, and she's still competing. She's still doing a lot. I will be translating for her. So I want to know what keeps her going in such a tender young age of 15, losing her father and receiving all these negative reactions from society instead of support. فاطمه جان سوال فهمیدین بفرمایید.
اینکه چه چیزی باعث شد تا ادامه بدم؟ خب اول سلام به همه کسانی که اینجا هستن.
I would like to say hello to all of you.
مهمترین چیزی که باعث شد تا من برای خود ادامه بدم این بود که یک در برابر برابری ها، ناعدالتی ها در جامعه و همچنان تعصباتی که در جامعه افغانستان وجود داره، مرد سالاری و همه اینها مبارزه کنم و یک صدایی باشم برای همه دختران و زنان افغانستانی که مورد خشونت قرار گرفتند و صدای اینا به خاموشی سپرده شده.
What encouraged me to keep on going is to be a voice for the girls in Afghan society who are feeling or who are living in a male-dominated society. So I wanted to serve as an example to them that they can withstand any experience and keep going.
کسانی که آرزوهای زیادی داشتن ولی شرایط باعث شده بوده تا آنها نتونن به اونا برسن.
Those girls who had many wishes, but the condition on the ground is preventing them from achieving their goals and dreams.
و ای که به خاطر پدرم هم که شدم باید ادامه بدم.
And because of my father, I thought I have to continue this way and keep on going.
و فکر میکنم این مهمترین چیز.
And I think this is the most important thing for me. Roya Jan, Fatemah mentioned something very important, a traditional society where there's no acceptance even from a woman's family in regard to the career or the things that a woman does in the society. How was your experience? Did you receive 100% support from your family, from your friends, and from the society? Because Herat is, has one of the highest level of female mutilation, and it has been said that, it's very traditional, and for women it's very hard to do anything in that province.
Sure. At the beginning was, of course, for every girls when they start to do some things, it's difficult to get their family's permission. But I had also, as Fatemah Jan says, I had my father's support, and he was always with me, and of course my mom's too. And but when I think that with the time, of course, I was proving that I have a trust, and I was always trying to telling every single thing that I do to my family to keep their trust and keep continue. And of course, I had 4 brothers, and when I think that many of Afghan girls knows when you're talking about 4 brothers, that what does it mean? Because most of the time it's your brothers to make many of the decision for you, not your father, but your brothers, because they say it's a
also, sorry for cutting you, work with your brother too. He's very supportive, and he works under you.
Yes. But then I could convince my brothers that what I'm doing it's something that we keep of the traditional, with the trust, keep of their trust. I'm not doing something wrong, but I'm doing to empower myself, also my family. And that's was the way that I had my brother's supports. And then later on, I have one of my youngest brothers who joined my company, and then he started working for me. And I think that support of the family is the first and the key to success of many of the girls in Afghanistan or many other conservative countries. So we needed that.
But was there any incidents, any negative reaction to what you did, any threat? Because initially you said that you did receive threats.
Yes, I think that as you mentioned, Herat is very conservative and in the community, and sometimes your neighbor make decision for you. And many of them, they didn't like what I did, and then they sometimes come to my father and talk about that it's not appropriate for your daughters. She's broken the rule, and she's not doing something is good, and that's what's to trying to convince my father to stop me, because the father is, as I mentioned, is a key important in the success of the girls, go or not go. And but thanks God, my father was always with me, and I had my family support me. And of course, the relatives also sometimes says why she's traveling around the world alone. It's not good for a girl. She's still single, and she might not find out.
Find a husband. Yeah.
So there are lots of these things that they say, but I guess that first my family support, and then also my courage to continue, and that was the reason that I was keep continuing. And then technology was helping me with many of the things, because for many of this time I decided to become as a digital entrepreneur, not going outside, not showing where I am, but still continue to do work. So that's just first my family, then the technology helped me to protect myself.
Great. Fatemah Jan is also one of the vocal member of your team. She's been quoted for saying a lot of interesting and giving a lot of positive comments to the leaders that they made, like Justin Trudeau, and they also traveled to Europe and met some of the officials. So I want her to share with us some of the messages, some of the things that she said in her encounters with prominent political leaders in terms of the rights of Afghan girls or education for girls in Afghanistan. فاطمه جان، نظریات بسیار جالب را همیشه در ملاقاتات با مقامات در میان میگذاری و گفته با همیشه کوتاه خودت هدلاین میشه در افغانستان. چه احساسی داری وقتی و چه پیامایی را برای اینا میدی؟ مثلا جاستین ترودو را دیدی، ایوانکا ترامپ را دیدی، چه چیزا ازشان خواستی؟
خب به طور کل جوابه. خب ما درسته که با رهبران مختلف میبینیم و رهبران سیاسی، هدف ما سیاسی شدن نیست، فقط میخوایم حمایت رهبرانه با خود داشته باشیم و ای که وقتی که یک تیم حمایت رهبر و یا رهبران مختلف با خود داشته باشه، طبعا که بیشتر در جامعه مورد فوکس هست و خیلی ها به خاطر اینکه یک رهبر پشت اینا هست، یعنی طرفدار او تیم میشن و از او تیم حمایت میکنن.
Okay, she says we do meet with political leader, but our intention is not to become a political team with a political agenda. We do meet with political leader for the purpose of gaining their support and perhaps gaining the attention of the world to the agenda that we have as a team, because you will never become a prominent and nobody will take your messages seriously if you do not have any prominent and well-known supporter. So I guess I have my 4 questions. I'm going to be opening the floor for you, and you can please go ahead and ask your questions if you have any.
Do we have a mic right
Right, yeah.
I just want to make it clear that what means of the agenda is the importance of the education of STEAM for the younger generation.
Support
That's the
for,
reason
yeah,
that
girls'
we need to
education.
support.
No questions?
So I think you started talking about what I was interested in hearing about, and that is education. What are the educational prospects for these young women, either at home or abroad, that this opportunity has brought them?
I think that education builds the foundations for women like me to gain strengths and believe on our own abilities, and we can continue to do what we want, and as well it's increasing the productivity inside of the country and increase the economy of the country. When we're thinking about the half of the population of a country, and if that's be uneducated, and the other half of the population, the half probably be some percentage of the be older, and then some percentage are the child. So we only rely on very small percentage of the country to keep So this is not be useful, and that's why our country is not have stability. We don't have peace. We don't have the growth of the economy. So it's very important to involve the half of the population that always ignoring the most of the developing countries, and that's also for the women. Again, it's give them the self-confidence. It's allow them to be independent and be less vulnerable. So that's why education is very important. For women. And when a mother be educated, it means if a woman be educated, a mother educated, a wife educated, and a daughter educated, and a family and a generation.
Society.
Really? I was curious, what are the attitudes of parents in general and Afghan society in general to technology? Do they differentiate in families that have the means in how much access girls have to technology versus boys, like internet access, having iPhones and iPads, and how much freedom do they have in virtual reality in a traditional Afghan family? Thank you.
Well, the technology is one of the fast-growing sector in Afghanistan, and today we have more than 80%, 85% of the Afghan population who have access to cell phones. And many of our telecommunication right now today is offering 3G and also 4G internet connection. So I can say that we have a lot of progress during these years, but. Of course, but only 10% of Afghan population have access. I mean, they have Facebook pages or they are in the internet, and mostly are the men. And what is very important for us is that educated the women how to use these tools. They have the cell phone, but they don't know how to use it. They can be connected to the internet, but they don't know how to do it. I think that this education is, again, back into education that is very important. And it's a basis that we have to provide it for women to understand that how they can use the technology to have a better life, and also to getting the skills and how to get in a job through that.
Great.
First of all, thank you so much for your time and coming here, sharing your story. Last year was so much fun. We saw you in a lot of TVs, and we tried to cover you too. But I was wondering if there's going to be a second event where you'll be showing up again and there will be more competition. Actually, I'm referring to the same competition that happened last year. Will there be another one this year? And the second question is more about, so you talked about what your message is, and when you meet all the political leaders, or be it in the civil society, are you making any progress towards that goal? Are you doing anything for STEM education in Afghanistan? And if there is anything in your mind, what is the progress towards it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, what was the first question?
Are you managing to gain support for your agenda education, for example, for girls, while meeting all these political leaders?
Yes, the competition. Yes.
Will it happen this year?
Okay, sure. Yes, we went after that to many other competition. We went to Estonia to participate at the biggest robotics competition, and we win the entrepreneurship challenge, and Poland gets second and Estonia get third places. And after that, we went to Canada and we participated at FRC. 4 months we were stay there, and then we become again winner of the rookie team. Then we went as a Canadian and Afghanistan representative for the first time, joining to the World Championship earlier this year in Detroit, and we win the award of Inspiration in Engineering, again for a rookie team. And then we went to New Mexico. We went to different competition, and actually we win again between 25 countries the Entrepreneurship Challenge. And for the competition that you mentioned, First Global, a month ago they hold it for the second time in Mexico. So we went to Mexico City, and we went to that competition. And actually our robot was broken and lost it, so we had a lot of drama there, but we could manage it, and we got safety awards there. And for the second question, as you mentioned, we are planning, of course, we have a plan to build in the first school of science, technology, engineering, art, and maths in Afghanistan. And 2 months ago, with Fatemah, we, as a representative, and on the behalf of the robotic team, we went to meet with President Ghani, and we sharing the plan with him. And surprisingly, he not only accepted to build the first school in Afghanistan, but actually he asked us to build 5 schools, and in 5 zones of Afghanistan. And he is going to helping us with the second plan, that to helping to building the MIT-style university that focusing on high tech. So we have a plan, a bigger plan in Afghanistan right now. We are working with our leaders, political leaders, and as well economics, private sectors, and everybody and communities to help us to build in this environment, ecosystem that helping that the next generation of Afghan, to build in the next generation of Afghan leaders in science and technology. So we have a bigger plan right now. We are working on that.
Just to follow up on this, are you also working around the country with other schools and with other girls who may actually have also similar interests? And secondly, what is the process of training like? How often do you meet? How do you work with the girls? Are they all based in Herat or in different parts of the country? What is your regular activity like?
Well, we have a foundation that we are trying to empowering the women through technology, and we have different programs. Robotics is one of them, and actually is a smaller program, but the most expensive one. We have coding, we have gaming, we have financial literacy that help women to start their own startups. But robotics team, we have only 12 members at the moment. We took an exam from Kabul from 10 to add 10 more students. And then these 12 students are from different parts of Afghanistan, but they are currently living in Herat. So they are right now residents of Herat. And yes, we have a plan, and that's why one of the things that we have is to building these schools. That helping more kids to come there, and then we can provide in training. And our criteria is that students, they needed to learn about programming, they understand or they have to know about electronics or mechanics. They take an exam and then they join the team, and then they can working on the different projects. At the moment, we have junior students, we have senior students, and they are working together on different products and projects. Fatemah is the captain and senior team.
میخوان در مورد از شما صحبت کنین که چطور فعالیت ها شما دیگه نفرای رو میگیرین نمیگیرین تیم ممبرها خود چطور به هم کار میکنن؟
خب در کل بگم یا تعداد اعضای تیم و در کدام ولایت و اینا این موضوعات رو بگم؟
به هرات چی فعالیت
خب در هرات ما با اعضای تیم به صورت گروهی همونطور که تیمی هستیم فعالیت میکنیم. برنامه‌هایی که در پیش رو داریم قراره یک نمایشگاه به ماه فوریه سال جاری برگزار بشه و در اون نمایشگاه ما ربات‌های بسیار بزرگی نمایش میدیم، مثل ربات ترانسفر که در فابریکات بتونه کار کنه، ربات زراعتی به خاطر که 82% از مردم افغانستان به زراعت مشغولن، بتونیم کار از اونا رو راحت تر کنیم. به این خاطر ربات زراعتی روی کار میکنیم. دیگه ماشین ریس قراره بسازیم که برای اولین بار در افغانستان و در منطقه هست و ریس کار
اوکی.
و قراره برای اولین بار راننده های از او خانم ها باشن و یک مسابقه برگزار کنیم و همچنان در بخش سیکیوریتی کار میکنیم. قراره ربات های سرنا کار کنیم که بتونه ماینر پیدا کنه و همچنان در قسمتی که عکس برداری کنه از قسمت های مختلف و اونا رو بفرسته برای شخصی که اونا رو کنترل میکنه.
So she's working only with the team in Herat, and they're already having a number of robots in place that they'll be building throughout the year. In February, they will be showcasing a robot that they created for agriculture, because Herat is agriculture province of Afghanistan. They also have a race car, some kind of a robot, a race car that they planned and created, and they want to showcase that they will be using it only for race car drivers, female race car drivers. The next project that they have is a robot that they can demine without the help of humans. And I think Afghanistan being one of the countries with the largest number of landmines, they're hopeful that that robot can also be effective. So they work together as a team in Herat, the robotic teams. They create these robots, and then there are different events and gatherings that they showcase their creation.
و به خاطر اینکه ساخت این ربات ها هزینه بسیار زیادی برمی‌داره، ما این روزا در حال جمع‌آوری فنریزی هستیم و امیدوار هستیم یعنی جمع‌آوری کنیم این فنریزی تا بتونیم این ربات ها رو در سطح افغانستان به نمایش بگذاریم.
So creating and producing robot costs a lot, and they need funding. So they're hopeful that they'll get funding from some place and draw the attention to to different organizations to their cause so they can support them and they'll be able to build these robots.
در همه کشورهای جهانی مردم خیلی سر تکنولوژی و در کل رشته‌های رباتیک استیم سرمایه زیاد میگذارند و امیدواریم که در افغانستان هم این رول رواج پیدا کنه تا ما بتونیم در عرصه تکنولوژی حرفی برای گفتن داشته باشیم.
In other countries of the world, there's a huge attention and investment that's being channeled and focused on technology sector, but unfortunately in Afghanistan it's not like that, and the robotic teams are hopeful that eventually in future tech sector in Afghanistan also gain importance and the government pay attention to it and they get the support that they deserve.
My name is Najiba. I'm with Afghanistan Service. Lina John, first of all, thank you so much for hosting this beautiful gathering. And these beautiful, lovely ladies, I am so impressed. I'm sure, of course, it goes without saying that you made your country, your people proud of you. Two quick questions for Fatemah Jan. Though you اگرچه که یک مقدار صحبت کردی ولی من میخوایم بفهم که هدف چیست. Though you mentioned a little bit that what you're going to be doing in the near future, but I want to know what your goal is in the future. You're just 15, you're so young. What is your goal in the future? And Roya Jan, شما, you can speak. So how much do you think you have inspired other young ladies and your family, your neighbors, your school, in general in Afghanistan? Do you get any letters, emails, anything from other young ladies? How much have you inspired them?
اول سوال بله همونطور که گفته شد هدف ما ساخت مکتب استیم که شامل ساینس، تکنولوژی، انجینری، آرت و مت هست می باشد. امیدواریم که این مکتب هرچه سریعتر ساخته بشه تا ما بتوانیم توانایی‌های افغانستان را جمع‌آوری کنیم و در اونجا تدریس ببینن و انشاءالله امیدواریم که بتونیم ما مخترعین آینده در اون مکتب پرورش بدن. مخترعینی مثل انیشتین، ادیسون، رابرت اوپنهایمر، مارک زاکربرگ و سایر اینها و
I don't even know some of them. She's so good.
و دیگه هدف ما دخترای تیمی هست که این رشته ها رو در خارج از کشور آموزش ببینیم چون که در افغانستان متاسفانه نیست و پس برگردیم به افغانستان و همه چیزهایی که آموختیم در اون مکتب تدریس کنیم تا بتوانیم آینده سازان بعدی و نسل بعدی ما آموزش بدیم و افغانستانی در عرصه تکنولوژی داشته باشیم.
So her only hope is that this school for science, technology, and engineering get inaugurated as soon as possible. So under the supervision of this school, they can recruit the talents from all over Afghanistan. And in future, Afghanistan can have leaders like Mark Zuckerberg, like Einstein, and so many others that I don't know how to pronounce their names, but she does. And through that school, they managed to bring the talents abroad, the girls who are studying outside Afghanistan, so they can come and teach in that school. And Afghanistan, eventually, they set the foundation for the next generation in Afghanistan.
همونطور که خبر دارم دولت افغانستان درگیری های زیادی داره و ما اونقدر دولت افغانستان بودجه نداره که برای تمام مصارف ساخت این مکتب بپردازه. امیدوار هستیم تا افغانان ما که در گوشه و کنار هستن و برای این مکتب این فقط برای یعنی تیم روباتیک نیه، این برای ساختن نسل آینده افغانستانه، برای که نسل آینده خیلی برتر از امروز و فردا باشه.
So as she mentioned before too, she says the government of Afghanistan unfortunately does not have the capacity financially to support this project. So we are also relying on Afghan diaspora to come together and fund this project because this is not only for Afghan girls robotic team, this is not only for them, but it's for something that will eventually lead to a bigger and a more prosperous future for girls in Afghanistan with it. Tech skill that they cannot find anywhere else to turn to or get in the deserved education that they require.
و امیدوار هستم که روزی سرخط خبرها باشیم، نه فقط برای جنگ، برای کشتار، برای اینکه در قسمت AI گپی داشته باشیم، در قسمت انرژی هسته‌ای و سایر اینها حرفی برای گفتن داشته باشیم.
And she says, I'm hopeful that my country one day do not make the headline just because of war, that Afghanistan can make the headlines for being a nuclear power, for being an inventor, inventing something, and we can, get that positive headlines out for Afghanistan through such projects. Questions?
I think that your second question, Fatemah, is the best example, I guess. And sitting near to Fatemah when she's talking such a beautifully, use such beautiful words, I think that I will be speechless. But I think that during my time, we didn't have many of the women in tech or in economics to look at that and as our role models. And I'm happy that many of the girls today look at me or they inspired at what I did and as a CEO or as someone who is trying to bring the changes in the community. And I'm proud and I'm feeling good. But I think that today we have more role models. And there's an Afghan girls robotic team. They are younger, and they inspire more kids to become a tech. And they actually, when they come back last year from US, we have 554 students who registered for a STEAM education, and they wanted to be in the robotic team. And I remember the time that we was trying so hard to bring the girls in that field. And many of the family, even they come and, eventually they register their names, but the family take them out. But after that, all these girls come with the support of their families. So I'm saying that this team is being more inspiring, and I hope that one day we have more. One day, next 10 years, we have Afghanistan with in an industry that many more women lead that, and we will be one of those countries.
Okay, I guess
Two
there's
more minutes with them. I know
last question. Sure.
My question is, to Roya John, and the question is, for example, you mentioned about, that you were encouraged primarily, by your father, from the family, of course, primarily by your father. So I think, when the U.S., before, the establishment of the new system in Afghanistan, there were limited opportunities, or even there were very few or minor opportunities during the Taliban time, So what can you identify, those areas, where you received, some kind of support or encouragement, from your father? So can you identify, those areas?
Sure. I was living actually during the Taliban for such a short time. I was living there at least for 6 to 8 months. And I remember the day that the Taliban collected all the books and TVs from the houses and they set them on the fire. And I think that at that day, something is born inside of me, and that was my power of my imagination. And I think that was my father was the key to support me. And he was, during those 6 to 8 months, not only teach me, but also my brother and sisters. Because we didn't have a teacher, we couldn't go there. And I think that during those 8 months, we learned more than to go to the schools. And then we back again to Iran, so I had an opportunity to go to the school there. And in 2003, we back to Afghanistan.
I may share something that Fatemah just told me, because I wanted her to comment about it. And I said, do you have any experience with Taliban? She says, fortunately, I was born after they toppled the regime, so she doesn't have any experience under Taliban regime in Afghanistan. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And once again, on behalf of VOA Women Caucus, we're very fortunate to have these two ladies, and we're hopeful that in future we can have much more similar events where we bring the women newsmakers to you, and you guys can help us out by suggesting names and people that will be interesting to have in this panel and to discuss the women-related issues with them. Thank you.